Bill Browderista on tullut presidentti Putinin vihollinen. Hän peruutti tulonsa Suomeen. Seuraavassa hän kertoo, miksi hän peruutti tulonsa.
Toimiessaan sijoituspankkirina Venäjällä amerikkalainen Bill Browder huomasi venäläisten yritysten olevan läpeensä korruptoituneita ja maan hallituksen toimivan mafian ottein.
And started to expose it through the international media. And when I did that, I was expelled from the country, declared a threat to national security. Subsequently, my offices were raided. I hired a young lawyer named Sergei Magnitsky to investigate. He discovered a massive financial crime committed by government officials, testified against them. He was subsequently arrested by the same officials, put in pretrial detention, tortured for 358 days, and killed in 2009.
Vuonna 2012 presidentti Barack Obama allekirjoitti Magnitskin nimeä kantavan lain. Se kieltää maahantulon Yhdysvaltoihin henkilöiltä, joiden epäillään sekaantuneen Magnitskin kuolemaan sekä muilta vakaviin ihmisoikeusloukkauksiin syyllistyneiltä venäläisiltä. Ärsyntynyt Putin laati heti omat vastalakinsa.
He viewed the Magnitsky law as one of the biggest affronts and humiliations that he's ever experienced. The Magnitsky law was essentially saying, or the U.S. Congress was saying that Russia is a corrupt country with a bunch of torturers and murderers running it. They have no justice system, and therefore we have to create our own justice for them in America. A big slap in the face and insult to Putin, who's trying to pretend that they do have a justice system there. There are now 300,000 people, business people, sitting in Russian prisons for the specific purpose of taking their property away. And the way it works is basically, if somebody has something, if somebody is not powerful and has property that somebody else wants, and it doesn't have to be a big factory, it could be a simple apartment, they will open up a criminal case against that person, and if the person doesn't hand over the property right away, they go to prison. Sometimes they even go to prison when they hand the property over right away. When I started to fight against Putin and the criminality of the Russian regime, I tried to get articles written in the newspaper, and I had a hard time. Newspapers were afraid to say things that were too critical of Putin, and when they did, it wasn't clear that everybody read the newspapers, and even if they did, it wasn't even clear whether they read the articles. And so I eventually came around to the understanding that if I wanted to really get the story out properly, why don't I tell it myself through YouTube videos? And so we produced 5 10-minute YouTube videos about the whole crime against Sergei and about the people who got rich committing those crimes. And these videos went viral. We had more than 2.5 million downloads of these videos, and those did change public perception about what was going on, because people saw these criminal, corrupt police officers and saying, well, how did they get so rich if they didn't do anything, as they claim?
Whom do you think Vladimir Putin trusts?
Well, Vladimir Putin is a very small, scared little man who doesn't trust anybody. We're dealing with a man who's really, he's intensely rational, but he's also highly emotional and highly paranoid.
Mitä Browder ajattelee Boris Nemtsovin murhasta?
In my opinion, the murder of Boris Nemtsov was ordered by the person who had the biggest interest in his murder, which is none other than Vladimir Putin. Everything about the crime from top to bottom smells of a Kremlin conspiracy to kill a major opposition figure and send a message to everybody else.
Was it a risky business to write this book?
Well, I think it's a risky business to expose corruption in Russia, and it's a risky business to fight for justice after they murdered Sergei Magnitsky. I'm not sure this book raises the risk any further than it's already been raised. They've already made death threats, kidnapping threats, extradition threats. They came after me with an Interpol red notice, etc. So the way I look at this I'm already up to my neck in risk. It doesn't create any more risk.
Suomen vierailunsa Browder peruutti turvallisuussyistä.
Whenever I travel, I have to make a judgment about the country that I travel to. If I were to be arrested on a Russian arrest warrant in a Western country, how they would act towards Russia, whether they would reject Russia's request or accept it. And Finland has a bit of a dark recent history in how they deal with Russian arrest warrants, where I've been made aware of specific cases where politically motivated arrest warrants have been issued for Russians or others, where the Finns have acted on those Russian requests in spite of the overwhelming evidence that they're politically motivated. And I don't want to put myself at the mercy of a government that's not making decisions that are legal but political or out of fear of Russia.